So we have received fantastic news, and the Leafs have received fantastic news, and it's glad to see that Matthew Knies and the Maple Leafs have continued their contract negotiations. Now, there was some rumors about the Maple Leafs having contract extensions early in the season when he was on a bit of a tear. Now, Matthew Knies just came back from injury where he got absolutely clapped, so we're glad to see that he is okay, and he immediately scored again. But this is a great move by the Maple Leafs. This just makes logical sense. You really don't want to allow a player like this to, I mean, yes, he is a restricted free agent, but at the end of the day, you don't want to risk an offer sheet. I mean, hey, listen, we saw 2 offer sheets this past season with another Canadian team, and, you know, now they're short some players in Edmonton, so we definitely do not want the same thing happen to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So, they have continued contract negotiations. Now, the real question is how much are they looking at? You know, I listen to Leafs talk a lot. It's I'm sure a lot of you probably listen to it as well. And, you know, JD Bunk has actually made a really good point where he was essentially just saying, like, listen, this is the guy that you want to bet on. Like, don't you want to bet on this guy? You know, now there is going to be risks to, you know, quote, betting on a certain player that you don't know whether it'll work out or not. But right now, if you look at the point totals, he has 15 points in 22 games, which is a pace of 55 or 56 points over a full season. That is legitimate top 6 production. Now, he's doing it in a shorter time frame, which is true. Like, I guess he could collapse back to a 35 point player, but it's not only the offense that Matthew Knies is. He also has a good board game. He's good at winning puck battles. He's very good in front of the net. He's not a complete train wreck defensively. He can skate pretty well for his size. So he has a lot of other attributes that you really like from a player as well. Now, from the Maple Leafs' point of view, they seem to want him on a long-term deal. I would hope so anyway. They want him between $5.5 and $6 million, according to David Pagnotta. That, I agree with the Leafs. I think that's what he is worth. Now, the rumor from the Matthew Knies camp is they see him around 7, right? They want it closer to 7 from their point of view. Now, I understand why they want to go higher, because they might have to, if they want a long-term deal, then they're going to be buying up UFA years, and as we all know, UFA years are going to be more expensive because that's a player is giving up those years of leverage in the unrestricted free agent market. Here's the thing. You want to negotiate with him, but at the end of the day, he is so young. He's probably going to be in his prime, like a 55 to 60 point type player. So you have not a lot of evidence, but you have some leeway here to say this guy is going to be probably a legitimate top 6 power forward, the type of player that you win with in the playoffs. If you guys have been following this channel for a while, I am a big fan of Matthew Knies. He is a legitimate player. I'm not a fan of Nick Robertson, by the way, but this is a legitimate player that you absolutely have to get done. So it's great news to hear this. Now, we also did get a rumor that the Maple Leafs have been looking for a centerman. Now, the entire NHL is looking for a centerman, to be fair. Now, obviously, this tells us that the Maple Leafs don't want to lean on Fraser Minten, which makes sense, right? Like, he's been playing maybe 13, 14 minutes a game. He hasn't been playing, like, a crazy amount of time on ice. But he's been good for the Leafs. Like, right, he's got, like, I think 4 points in 5 games. He's relatively smart. He's pretty good defensively, albeit they haven't put him up against top competition in the National Hockey League. So you have to understand that he could be looking better because he's just playing against worser competition, right? But he has been objectively really, really good for the Leafs. Now, the question is on a Stanley Cup team, can you rely on this guy I would probably say, like, this is where I'm at with it. Like, he's playing good, and the argument is, well, if he's playing good, just keep him up. I still think that he needs a year of development time. It worries me, especially if you want to develop Fraser Minten as a centerman. You have to develop him properly. So I would take my time. I would probably want another year. So I actually agree with the Leafs again here. They should be looking for a center. Now, this is where it gets really, really, really complex. Because again, if you look into it, man, like every team needs a center. Even Calgary's been desperate for a center for a while, right? There are tons of teams. So the question is okay, they're going to want a third line center. We've looked at players like a Nick Bjugstad as possible. I'm much more interested in a Yanni Gourde. I think that he is a much more compelling player. He has a history of being good in the playoffs, which is exactly what you want. You know, this is something that I would be looking at. But the real question is Seattle or whatever team it is that has the center would definitely wait until the trade deadline, and then they're going to try to milk you of as many assets as they can. Now, I believe that the Leafs do have a second round pick, I think, so that's probably what they're going to be looking to use as a trade chip. But again, teams are going to try to get first round picks first. Now, is there going to be some team that is going to be extremely desperate and give Seattle or whatever team it is a first round pick for a middle six center? We've seen it before, guys. Like we've seen it before where teams like massively overpay. So the Leafs don't really have the assets to massively overpay. So in my opinion, when it comes to the Leafs center position, they are not going to get the number one option with the assets that they have, especially because they've plummeted Nick Robertson's value as well. But anyways, I'm just going to leave the video there. I just want to touch on those two rumors, the Matthew Knies extension talks, and then them looking for a center. If you could like, comment, and subscribe, I would appreciate it. And have a great day, guys. Goodbye.